What up, though, y'all? It's Chris. Appreciate you connecting with me while I'm out here on the run, getting things done. And I'm about to take off from my current destination, but I was sent a video and I had to share it with y'all. It was done by CNN. They were talking about the manosphere. And when I saw CNN manosphere, I just was like, this is gonna be good. Like, this is definitely gonna be good. And they did not disappoint. It was pure comedy, and for all the wrong reasons. I'm sure they thought this would be taken seriously, and I mean, amongst their base that they're trying to appeal to, they probably will take it seriously. But the rest of us, this was pure unintended comedy. So they go about portraying the manosphere. And me, I don't consider myself to be part of the manosphere, but I know what it is. And I've kind of, watched a bit from afar. And I understand what it isn't as well. So I don't have a dog in this fight. So this isn't me on some manosphere, red pill stuff, defending it. No, this is me just being fair. Now, right out the gate, they have a sit down with a woman. You can tell this is the absolute boss babe, feminist archetype that hates masculine men, and masculine men would not want anyway. She says that she dated basically right-wing men exclusively for a year, and right out the gate, she was talking about how insecure they are. Now, I started laughing the second that I heard this, because insecurity is the go-to insult for boss babes. Men that simply aren't going to put up with a woman's BS, men that simply set boundaries, men that simply have standards. That's the first thing they go to try to vilify the man's preferences, is he's insecure. So it didn't surprise me that this feminist boss babe went right there. She went right for the jugular. Oh, they're insecure. She also tried to portray the manosphere as basically being a bunch of a white supremacists, which I know that is not true. There are several content creators right now that are part of the manosphere that I know of. These are guys that, I once upon a time may have been subscribed to. Some I am subscribed to, like one, for example, mediocre tutorials and reviews. He's part of the manosphere. I like his stuff. I think he's very fair. He has a lot of talking points in common with the manosphere, but we have a lot of similar views and opinions when it comes to dating. And I don't consider myself part of the manosphere. So basically, anyone that is masculine, anyone that is about being a provider, a leader, just the very sort of traditional man that they all claim they want. If you are that, if you say anything remotely similar to some of the views and opinions that are commonly heard in the manosphere, you're automatically part of the manosphere. And yes, they were saying that they're like white supremacists. They use Jake Shields as an example because he's got a podcast and he had on David Duke before. Just because you featured on a guest does not mean you fall in line with their views and opinions. There can be a lot of misconception of a person. There can be a lot of assumptions about a person. So it's like, hey, you know what? I understand that some things are said about you that may be true, and some things are said about you that may not be true. Now, the thing about you being a white supremacist, that may be true, but I'll allow you to speak on that and give us more insight. Some of the other things might flat out not be true, and I'll give you an opportunity to deny those things. So just because you sit across from a person and want to have a discussion doesn't mean you fall in line with whatever they're talking about. This is how you settle differences, people, like adults. You sit and you have a discussion. That's one of the issues that I have with a lot of these leftist men. They're very emotional. They don't know how to sit down and handle things rational and reasonably like adults. I would rather two men with opposing views sit down on a podcast and discuss those opposing views than what the left is doing, which is, oh, let's go key Teslas, let's go burn Tesla what dealerships or whatever. That's their way of doing things. So I can understand sitting down for a discussion. I may not do that myself, but I'm not opposed to somebody else doing it. Joe Rogan does this. He doesn't agree with a lot of the stuff that people on his podcast say, but he at least allows them to come explain where they're coming from. Stephen A. Smith, I'm not a huge fan of his. However, Stephen A. Smith has also begun to do this. He will have people with opposing views on, and he will talk to them, and they'll have a healthy back and forth. He didn't always do this. He started doing this, I want to say, initially, maybe like a year ago, a year and a half ago, something like that. Because he started having, what's his name? Sean Hannity on, and they would talk. This was on his podcast. And they were actually really entertaining, because you had one guy who claims he's independent, but we all know that he's not. He's really left, or at least a lot of his talking points are left. I think in Stephen A's case, he's really Republican, but he champions all of the Democrat stuff because the majority of the people who he deal with are Democrat. So he claims the independent angle, so he doesn't really have to commit to either. But Stephen A. Smith, I mean, come on, I do just signed a contract for $100 million with ESPN. When it comes to money, he's very much a conservative when it comes to money. And that's not me assuming. That's a quote directly from him. He said that himself. When it comes to money, he's very much a conservative. But he specifies that so that the people around him, largely a lot of these NBA players that are very leftist, they don't cancel him. But, it's just very amusing to me that CNN did this. The woman also said how they don't listen to women. Well, why would I? Women always want to chime in and give men their take, their opinions on how to be men, when you have no idea what you're talking about. You have no idea what it's like to be a man in the United States of America. I'm not talking about a black man. I'm talking about a man, period. You have no idea what it's like to hold the burden of performance that men carry on our shoulders. So, in my opinion, when it comes to men being better men, women have no opinion on this. Just like they love to say that, and these are the leftist women, right? Just like the women love to say men shouldn't have an opinion when it comes to reproductive rights, I feel the same way. Women shouldn't have an opinion when it comes to coaching men on how to be men. But they hate that. You're a misogynist. You're a misogynist if you tell them they have no business chiming in on discussions about men, but they are very quick, with no hesitation. They will tell you, mind your business, shut your mouth when it comes to discussions about women. You can't have it both ways, but they often do like to have it both ways. She also brought up, oh, they all love UFC. No, that's not true. But a lot of men like UFC. Masculine men like masculine things. Masculine men like combat sports. Masculine men tend to like hunting. Masculine men tend to like, cars. I mean, this shouldn't really be that much of a surprise. So to categorize people that like these sort of things as though they're just all like this is just really silly. Because I like a lot of the things that they like too. I love cars. I love combat sports. Love hunting. You know, does that make me some white supremacist? You get what I'm saying? Like, it's just so silly on its face. And they also, or the woman, she also seemed to have a real hard on about the fact that men will only listen to other men when it comes to coaching. Well, who else? When it comes to learning how to be a man, was it your father that was trying to pass you this wisdom, or was it your mom? Your mom can't teach you how to be a man. And that's why fathers are so important, and why when there's a single mom, the kid ends up in the worst possible situation. Boys especially, but it's really all children, but boys especially, every category they do worse when it's just a woman. So a man's opinion and perspective about being a man, especially when it comes to teaching a boy how to be a man, is invaluable. So no, they're not going to listen to you, a woman that has no idea what even being a man for a minute is like, being a man just in any capacity. You don't have a penis, so you're not qualified on telling me how to be a man. Just like you would say, I don't have ovaries, so I have no opinion on the debate about reproductive rights. You know, so just like you tell people to stay in their lane on certain things, why are you unhappy about men telling you to stay in your lane about certain things? So I'm gonna leave it there, though. I think you guys got the gist of it. If you are interested in watching this, because it was entertaining. It did have a lot of cringe in it, so I'm just giving you a warning beforehand. There was a lot of cringe in it, so be warned before you go over there. But if you do want to see it, it's on CNN's channel. It's pretty easy to find. Just type in CNN manosphere, and it'll, if it's not the top video, it'll be one of the top 3 videos. I'll holla at y'all soon. Peace.